Next slide. All right. So let's take a second and see if we can, we're running a little short on time. So what we're going to do this as a group. Does anybody have an objective? You can think, now we heard about objectives. Anybody have an idea what a good objective for any of your businesses?
Identify your competitors.
Identifying your competitors. Okay. So the strategy, what strategy we would use to identify our competitors?
Look at trade magazine. I don't know.
Do a search.
Do a search.
Doing a search helps us identify. The tactic
Google
is a trade magazine, is Google, is directories that might be available. See how that works? Okay, so objective. I got to identify my competitors. My strategy is I'm going to do a search. And my tactics are, I'm going to do it on Google, I'm going to do it here, I'm going to do it there, I'm going to do it there. That's a perfect example of an objective strategy and tactics. Excellent. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, again? All right. We're going to talk a little bit about budgeting, so let's go ahead and lay these out. And one more. Okay, good. Return on investment, return on marketing investment. If you spend $1 on marketing, how much do you want back?
5.
That's your return on marketing investment, right? I'm glad it don't work for you. Okay. But you're right, that's exactly it. If I spend $1, how much do I want back? If I spend the money at the trade show, how much business do I want to get? If I go ahead and do a cultural kind of a thing and I'm in my neighborhood and spend $500 on doing an event with my bikes, what am I looking to try to get back on that? Okay? So really it's your return on your marketing dollar investment. Okay? And that's why you have to have some tracking and some performance indicators, because you want to be able to know if the $200 we spent, did we in fact get that back and more, okay? If we just got back to 200, that would be called break even. We didn't make money, we didn't lose money, okay? Break even point, all right. So hard costs, soft costs. A hard cost in marketing is a cost that you can track back to a sale. And I'll give you an example. I send a direct flyer out with a coupon in it and a return envelope, and somebody fills it out and sends it back in. I know that happened, right? I got a response, and I got a sale. I can track it directly back to that flyer. So all the costs involved with sending that mailing out is a hard cost, because I spent $100 on mailings, I got 20 coupons back, and I made $2,000. I can figure out my return on marketing investment. Hard costs, those are easier, okay? Soft costs, a little harder to trace, okay? One of the hardest, newspaper advertising. How do you know you came in? Now, if you had a coupon in the newspaper and you clipped it out and you told people to bring it in, or you said, bring this app for an extra 10% off my coffee, and they brought it in, you could track it. That would turn into a hard cost, okay? So you're going to have soft costs and hard costs. Next slide.
Would you rather have more hard costs than soft costs?
You've been talking to my boss, huh? Sure. I mean, it all depends on your business, okay? Ultimately, even with soft costs, you're assuming you're getting an increase in business. You're seeing some metric, sales, something, okay, that says, wow, we did all this advertising. And a good example, my media, I said we're doing newspaper, I was doing radio ads, right? Marketing message for membership. Well, my metric is how many new members did I bring in this month. Now I know what I do in general, but if I see a spike and I was doing some marketing tactic, I could safely say that may be connected, you know, because this is as much an art as it is a science to some degree. But over time, you learn that, okay? So you'll learn like, oh, remember last year we did this and it didn't work that well, but wow, we tweaked something and it worked really good, okay? Okay, so think about these for hard costs and soft costs, right? Web is a soft cost, unless you're having some kind of an ordering system on the web where you're getting orders off the web somehow, then you can track it back to that, okay? So you have to use other metrics. You know, message on hold, that's a soft cost. The person's listening to a phone, you're just building awareness. So each one of your tactics is going to be a hard cost or a soft cost. And it's a good idea to understand what those are and how that works for your business. Okay, does that make sense to everybody, how that is? Okay, good. Next, please. Okay, keep going. Right there. All right. So how do I forecast something? Well, if you have some history, usually what we do is we use our historical data to do a historical trend out. If we've been growing at 3% a year for the last 3 years, we could assume we're probably going to grow 3% in the 4th year. Or what am I doing so different that it would go up? Because it seems like if I do nothing, I'm probably going to do 3%. Because the last 3 years, historically, that's what I've done. So you use your historical trend as your baseline, and you're trying to get over that. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, obviously, if you're just starting off, it's much harder because you don't have a historical trend. But that's why tracking is so important as you move forward. So as you guys start doing your business and so forth even more, you know what you made in June and July. You know there's a seasonality with that business. So that's why you hear a term versus last year, right? Our June numbers were 10% higher versus last year June. So now I'm comparing, going up, going down, okay? So historical trends. Then you develop and question your assumptions. You know, I said to you, if you make 3% a month and you put in your marketing plan 10% next month, what assumptions are you making that you believe you're going to go up? Okay? And question those assumptions, because if you make the wrong assumption, you may not make your target. Okay? So develop assumptions and list them out. That's what we have to, when I say I'm going to be able to generate 110 car loans this month, the question they ask me is, what are your assumptions and what are you planning to do to generate that business? And if I don't have a good answer, then that's not going to get accepted. Okay? All right. Understand break even. We talked about that. Your costs equal your revenue. I mean, you know, that's not a good place to be. You at least want to be break even, obviously. But sometimes you work at break even because you're willing to invest a little bit short term, maybe not quite make all your business because you know that's going to help you build later and have a return. And then understand your margin contribution. You know, if your product costs you $1, but you're only selling it for $1.05, that just may not be enough to cover other costs. So understand your profit margin, and are you making enough profit? Because the last thing you want to do is work 40 hours a week and not make any money. That's not a good situation. I would never recommend that to anybody. Okay? So what is your profit margin? Are you making enough money on each dollar that you sell of whatever it is, your coffee? Do you know what the margin is on coffee? The profit margin? It's about 1,000% on a cup of coffee. That's crazy. The cup costs more than the coffee. And so you're going into a very high margin business. That's how you crank those coffees out and keep all those other costs down. That's why Starbucks and these guys are so expensive. I mean, are so profitable. Their margin's incredible. Incredible margins. Okay? Okay. Use any performance indicators, as many performance indicators as possible. Okay? Think of your own metrics. You know, how do we want to be measured? How are we going to measure our progress? That's really what that's all about when it comes to forecasting and metrics. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, good. Keep going, and keep going. Good. So, marketing cycle. You tend to build a marketing plan over 3 years. In other words, you're going to, right now, I am building the 2015, 16, and 17 plan. Okay? The first year, next year, is very operational. It's very detailed. It has all the tactics. It has the budget broken out by every tactic. Very, very detailed, okay? All of my forecasts for my sales, everything. The second year, a lot of my tactics I carry over, not everything. So a lot of them are continuing because in some cases I realize it's going to take me 2 years or more to achieve that objective or that strategy. So I do carry some over, and I may actually add a few extra things for 2016 because I just can't do them in 15. I don't have the money, I don't have the capacity. I know it's a good idea, so I put it into 16 thinking, well, at least I have it on the marketing plan, but I'll get to it. Because that's a really good tactic, a really good strategy. I just don't have the capability right now. I'm doing these other things, okay? And then the third year is far more strategic. Usually you just straight line your budget out to the third year. So if you're increasing your marketing budget by 10% every year, that third year you're just going to increase year number 2 to 10%, and now you have a budget, if you will, for the third year. You probably don't have it laid out. It's not very tactical at all. Probably has some objectives and strategies, and that's about as far as you're going to go, and a rough idea of a budget, okay? Because what's going to happen? At the end of 16, my second year jumps up to be very operational. My third year now jumps into the number 2 position, and now I put some detail to it, and I add 2018 on the back in a very strategic and in a shell, an outline kind of way. So it's rolling. It's a 3-year rolling. Does that make sense for everybody? Okay? All right. So the plan I'm working on in 2015, I had some of it already built in 2014. Because that was the third year of my plan on that, second year of my plan. Okay? That makes sense. And by the way, this does not have to be that difficult. You can keep that pretty simple. If you only have one product in a small market, your marketing plan may only be 4 or 5 pages. If you're in a really heavy competitive area or something, it may have more meat to it because you just have to do more. Okay? All right. Next slide, please.